Okay, so Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has come out and there's been a lot of discourse about it. It hasn't really been that great. And I think this is something that a lot of people saw coming. But now that we know that it's out and we know where it's landed, I'm going to do something a little bit different. This is a new style of content, and you guys let me know if you like it or not. And I'm probably going to call this Spooled, and we're going to look at how can we actually make some games better, good or bad, right? The game's already been dunked on a lot, so we're not going to go down that route. We're going to go ahead and see if I was to actually be on the dev team or the story team or whatever, how would I make this game better? And I'm saying this based off just my experience so far with the comics and the lore, in addition to having played a couple of games like this, like, Destiny, which is kind of the big kahuna in this space, Outriders too as well, which I actually enjoyed. And I think it's a game that really didn't get enough love. And, Borderlands, all that kind of stuff all mashed together, and seeing how we can make this game a little bit better. And I see where they were going with this game, with kind of what they were trying to do. It almost feels like they were really going for a Borderlands kind of look and feel, really, really irreverent, but I feel like they really took it way too far and we're just kind of pushing almost like 90s, just trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy kind of thing. And I know everyone's super disappointed right now, but come on, let's try and bring it all back. Let's do some constructive criticism here and see how we can make things better. So, first off, one of the things that I'm going to really focus this video on is just really the design concepts of each one of the major encounters for every single one of the Justice League. I believe that a lot of everything that I've seen already from online and the videos, like a lot of the missions are just very samey, very hokey, but a way that you could have elevated that was really with those key tentpole battles with each one of the Justice League, where I think you could have really done something really, really unique, really, really cool, kind of with the way that Destiny 2 does their raids and, all the other stuff that they do. So here's my take on it, right? With utilizing, and I know they kind of touched on this a little bit, but it's kind of taking some elements from the Batman kind of Babel kind of storyline, both on the comics and even the live action, animated movie kind of style. But let's start off with the Flash. And from my standpoint, you could really do this like a raid style where you have damage phases and you tie in concepts of the storyline to really create how you defeat the Flash and make it more realistic, or I don't know, more believable, right? So I feel like you could have really used the slow force here. I know that's a thing that's in the comics that's kind of fairly recent, but you could have actually had, I think, Gizmo or Toyman actually create some machines that siphon off his speed utilizing the slow force. And what they do is that, Toyman or Gizmo creates like smart bullets that actually somehow tether him to one of these devices. And every single time you get enough of these in him, it kind of slows him down and it creates a damage phase where one of the individuals, or you're damaging him, and then someone on the Suicide Squad team goes in and kind of sticks him with an electrode that really kind of anchors him to one of those machines, right? So it's not just you're shooting him with the smart bullets, they're gathering the slow force, and then it kind of slows him down, and then you get the electrode to kind of like lock him in. All right, we've locked in that level of slow force. We've taken away some of the Flash's speed, and now he's tethered to one of the machines in the space. So he's slower, and you have to do this, I think, in the game to really make it seem like the Suicide Squad is actually winning, and you can feel the Flash getting more panicked, getting more angry. That's how his attacks even get more and more desperate, right? So in the next phase, he starts doing more tornadoes, he starts spinning around, he starts doing, hurricanes, or shooting like, I don't know, air pockets at you, that kind of thing. And you do this for like 3 phases, right? Because I think in the game it has like 3 bars. And every single time you're having, you're shooting the bullets, the smart bullets, it tethers him down with a slow force, gets to a damage phase, someone sticks him in an electrode, and he just keeps on taking the speed down further and further and further until the last level of that. When you do that on the third time, then he is like super slowed down to the point where now you're able to actually all single one of the the Suicide Squad. You kind of go in with your special moves at that particular point in time and take him down. So that kind of gives it a much more cinematic feel to it. And you also have like this stated damage phases where you're actually having to do or perform this activity, right? The electrode is something that you have to charge up with the smart bullets over time. You kind of have a counter, and everybody needs to actually do this at a particular point in time. You shoot him with enough bullets, it goes down. Someone actually has to be able to go up behind him, right? While everyone's shooting at him, stick him with the electrode and kind of keep things going. So it has that concept where everyone's kind of having to work with each other. It's like, hey, where does he stand as far as the slow force? How much of it is ramping up? You're trying to, avoid all the damage too as well. Okay, he's down now. Okay, who's going to grab the electrode? You run over to the machine that's loaded. Everyone's got to kind of support him and get the person over there and do the thing, and then, rinse and repeat. So it's a lot more engaging that way rather than just, hey, I'm just pointing a gun and shooting at him. Man, I think that's a cool way to kind of tie it into the lore and the overall storyline. Okay, so that's, Flash done. Going to Green Lantern. Like, there's another really cool aspect there because you have between Gizmo, Toyman, and Hack too as well. And in the previous thing with the Flash, actually, you can even have the Penguin be one of the guys that actually builds like the smart bullets too as well, because he's your armorer kind of stuff. So there's different ways in which you can go with that. But for Green Lantern, you can have Gizmo, Ivy, and Hack actually create some kind of yellow light constructs that they can actually project to Green Lantern to allow him or create doubt in his mind, right? Because when you think about the whole lore of the Green Lantern and stuff with the Sinestro core or with the yellow, power battery, that is like their exact polar opposite. And, it works off of fear, and you create that fear and that doubt in Green Lantern, which makes his will weaker, right? So you can have like a will, measure or a counter on the screen where you guys are shooting him with, all this stuff, and every time he kind of goes big and you're destroying his constructs, they flash up this yellow kind of construct that he's having to try and damage, and it's just kind of popping up in different locations all over the place. And Green Lantern is kind of like losing his shit. Is Sinestro here? Is what's going on? Like, why are all these yellow constructs coming in? And I'm hitting it with all my Green Lantern stuff, but nothing's happening. So it's like literally driving him like insane, and it's just making him doubt more and more in his power, and his will too as well. It's just constantly degrading. And essentially you're doing this over a period of time. So every single time when he goes big, you've put this thing up, and then it's the team's job to take whatever is creating that construct and jump it around at each location. And then the rest of the Suicide Squad have to actually protect this person as they're jumping around the arena space, making sure that the Green Lantern is chasing this construct thing, right? And all this other constructs and machine guns and stuff are shooting at them, but it's everyone else's job to make sure that this person who's carrying this particular machine doesn't get hit and is able to survive. So that's how you actually create that narrative within the effect of the battle, that this is actually going on. And over time, each time you do this a couple of times, the Green Lantern just pause it, and he's just super confused and super scared, and his ring starts failing, and that's when you have the damage phase, right? And you do this over the course of the 3 phases, and that's how you finally take him down, which is a really cool way of tying in the lore and the concept of the Green Lantern and actually creating a believable idea as to how the Suicide Squad actually defeats him. So that's a cool way to do it, I think, for him. Now, Batman, I know there's been a lot of discourse around Batman, and how he was treated and stuff. I personally don't have an issue with that. I just feel like it was entirely wasted how they went about this. I feel like the good way they could have got about this was really with just how iconic the Batman games are and how much of an impact they had on the superhero genre, the fighting styles and the combat system. They could have gone a fantastic way with this, where they can actually use Harley Quinn's connection with the Joker and all of the history that they have together, really tying it back to Jason Todd as the Red Hood, really playing into the dark part where, he killed Robin, and just creating this just doubt and creating this anger in Batman, because Batman is not really himself anymore. So I believe he's more accessible to, that emotional aspect where, hey, Joker killed Jason Todd and made him the Red Hood. And they could really tie into this aspect where Harley Quinn is kind of really the focus here, and even play into like her psychology background. She's a psychiatrist, or that's her expertise. And she actually uses this to create like misdirection with the Batman, where she's constantly just rattling off all this crazy bad stuff that the Joker has done, and her role in it too as well. And it's really, really pissing Batman off, and utilizing Boomer as well as Shark as distractions, right? So the goal of the thing is you're playing this kind of game of cat and mouse, but now as a bad guy on the Suicide Squad, you're actually almost in the position of Batman as the prey, right? Boomer and Shark are kind of bait, and then Batman is kind of chasing them around, while at the same time as well trying to catch Harley and get her to like shut up. And then Deadshot is the main person that's meant to be the one to take him down. So as this is happening over time, you could have like a sanity meter or something for Batman, and every single time as this is going on, he's trying to get Boomer down, he's trying to get Shark down, right? They're constantly together, right? So it's, if one of them actually goes down for a little bit, the other one is always around, right? So he may try and take Shark down, but Boomer's right there and is able to clock him and put him down a little bit enough, as well as Harley Quinn. And then they're like, hey, Deadshot, take the shot. And Deadshot takes the shot, puts Batman down, and that's when you all have the chance to pummel on him, do the damage phase and everything. And then, he kind of like poofs, does his Batman thing, goes back into the rafters and is doing something else. And then you kind of rinse and repeat that over a period of time. But it adds the story aspect where you're really having to work together as a team in specific roles to really take down the Batman. And I think this is a really cool way of saying just how much of a badass Batman is, but also how much it takes for these four convicts to actually take him down, right? It's literally like a chess game, right? Harley is like the queen, and she's playing this long game. She's distracting. She's playing the cool concept there. You could even name the mission Queen's Gambit, like with the whole Netflix thing, right? Just how much of thought goes into that process with beating Batman. You have to sacrifice Boomer and Shark are the distractions. You have Deadshot as your knight, who's the one that's going to take the shot to put him down. There's just so much there that you can do with just that battle. I think would make it so awesome, with really, hitting on the point that Batman is like this force of nature in the night, and this is how much stuff you need to do to take him down. It would just be so much cooler. I think you could really have like a nice drawn out battle, like almost something like with the End from like Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater. If anyone's played that, like, that sniper battle, that was nuts. Like being able to have that, this could be a similar kind of mind game, kind of long process kind of thing. So I think that's a really cool way to do that Batman fight. And then for Superman. We'll touch on Brainiac last, but Superman. Hey, we know he's kind of wonky with the green kryptonite with Wonder Woman, but you have the gold kryptonite. You could actually have the gold kryptonite bullets, which are synthetic, and you use that to damage him. But every single time when he gets to like a particular overload in terms of like, I don't know, you could have like a kryptonite poisoning kind of thing. Every single time that happens, the goal is that once you get that to a point, then someone on the team needs to be able to activate as a group, you all need to activate a red sunlight kind of, I don't know, like lantern or something that shines down on Superman every single time to like weaken him. So you're really creating this concept of like, okay, we shoot him with a gold kryptonite for a bunch of times. Then you create like this opening where you have to activate this red light lantern that shines on him, slows him down, because red sunlight is kind of, native to Krypton, really makes him weaker, and then you guys are able to damage him. And that happens time over time. And of course, each time Superman is getting more desperate, he's doing more crazy attacks and stuff. But this is the entire concept, right? You have to do that. And it's kind of like a sequence of how you activate these things. And every single time you activate one, he destroys it, right? He destroys this light. You have to go to another section. You have to, shoot him, get that lantern activated, and then you're able to finally bring him down. Really cool aspect there of being able to bring in all the different aspects. And then even for the coup de grace too as well, the fact that the Suicide Squad saw how he killed Wonder Woman, you could have had like Harley actually keep a piece of the green kryptonite from Wonder Woman's shield, and then have her use it to deliver the killing blow to Superman at the end of the battle. Like, just think of how that whole storyline comes full circle, right? You have Wonder Woman who tries and fails to defeat Superman, and then the Suicide Squad, specifically like Harley Quinn, in that moment where you can see like she's really like, this is wrong. Like, she takes up that piece of that kryptonite, and they actually utilize that to actually kill Superman at the end of the day. It's just a really cool way of bringing that whole story like full circle, and almost like, Wonder Woman, she still did it. Even though she's not there anymore, she was still able to make that happen almost. And then finally, Brainiac, I know in the game you're meant to, have like 13 or something, versions of him, which is kind of super silly. So I don't understand how they're going to do that battle a couple of times. But the way you could do it narratively, which I think would be really cool, would be that, yes, you do every single thing that you've done before, because it's all building up on all the different members of the Justice League, right? So you do the same concept you did with the Flash, with Green Lantern, with Batman, as well as Superman, because you're fighting every single one of them. But the kicker in that is that because you're doing that, the fact that the Suicide Squad is who they are, and that they cannot jointly as a whole defeat all the Justice League heroes combined, you have to narratively lose, right? So think of it this way. It's like, if you've seen Return of the King, you know exactly what was happening there in Tolkien, where they go to that big battle outside of Mordor. They know that all they're doing is buying Frodo time to get to Mount Doom to dump the ring. That's literally the same concept, right? The Suicide Squad is doing this while in the background, they know that they physically can't defeat Brainiac, but Luthor is hacking into Brainiac's system because he has a huge IQ. He's distracting Brainiac, and the way for you to actually do that, you have to lose. You have to lose to win. You have to let Brainiac think he's won, let him gloat because he's, 4th level or 6th level intelligence. He says you can never beat him. And in that moment of, for him, victory is when he loses, because Luthor hacked all his systems and is able to upload some kind of virus or take over and, destroy his systems. And that's how you win. Like, that I just think narratively too as well, and the gameplay part of it would be just so fantastic, where you have it at the end of the day where you as the player actually, and it would be a really cool concept if they actually did this in the game, and it was such a huge thing for like the community to all come together to be like, hey, when I'm doing that final battle with whatever that character is, maybe it's Superman, right? Instead of you actually doing, the red light and everything, and you're able to use that kryptonite to kill him at the end, you actually have to purposely lose. Like, you have to purposely not perform that final attack in order for you to win the battle against Brainiac. Like, can you just imagine how cool of a narrative that would be? Like, how that would just blow people's minds. It's like every single time people are doing this battle over and over again, and they keep on losing because they're doing everything right. It's like, hey, we defeated Superman, we've done all this stuff, we've done it exactly the same way we did it before, but we still keep on losing. And then someone in the community is just like, hey, the goal is not actually to win. You actually have to fail that final test in order for you to beat the game. Like, just imagine how cool that would be for the game. They could have just really hit this out of the park. In my mind, I just don't know why they couldn't have done this. I think this is such a huge missed opportunity. The name itself, Kill the Justice League. They had such an opportunity here to just literally kill this and just blow shit out of the water here, because just of how much of an impact this would make. And it's just so disappointing because Rocksteady, we love them so much. We know how much stuff they have done with all the Batman games. If they could have just landed this and done something so different, it would have been so cool. Oh, I don't know, guys, but that's my thought process. I think I've rambled on for a while, but I think those were really cool ways in which they could have really made this game so much better. Like, every single one of those encounters, like, can you imagine all those fights? All those fights, that, man, it would be just, everyone would be talking about this stuff forever. And it would be, the conversation would go from like, hey, Rocksteady, we're so disappointed, to like, Rocksteady's done it again. They've revolutionized the superhero genre and come at it with something different. But for now, unfortunately, Insomniac is kind of the folks that are top of the line right now when it comes to superhero games with Spider-Man. But hey, those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you all think. This is just me rambling for a couple of minutes here, but let me know what you guys think about this. Do all the things below, and take care of yourselves. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.